and I kept using the word embrace, but there's a willingness, and that's the point we have to get to, where we're willing to accept all that we are and love ourselves completely. And that's what I was, he put here, outside circumstances as what defines us. It's me. It's the internal me. It's the I am. It's the I am that is the greatest thing walking this earth. It's the thing that, as human beings, we have the abilities to control our outcomes. We're not like any other creature in nature. So we've been created to be able to have self-awareness, imagination, a conscience, a will, and it allows us to be different. And so loving ourselves completely and embracing and having that willingness without any fight, without any protest. I think that was a really good word, because that's what it feels like you're doing when you don't accept it. It feels like you're fighting against it. It feels like you're holding on so tight and you're fighting against it, and you tense up, and life isn't flowing like a river, and life should flow like a river. And so that's kind of where it's just part of loving yourself and being okay. And that's that point with the permission to be flawed. I'm really adamant about being okay with not being this fake perfect, where we're supposed to be perfect, but obviously there's no such thing. And that's another trick society's pulled on us, where there's some sort of perfection that exists out there, and it just doesn't. We all have these things. It's the natural order of life. We all have things that we're not proud of. We've all done things we're not proud of. We've all been victims at one point in time of something. It's just happened. And you have to give yourself permission to be flawed and not perfect, and you made a mistake or whatever it might be, or you're not as short as you want to be, or tall or skinny, or whatever it might be. Yeah. And I think the acceptance, sometimes it's new definitions, new information, new ideas is the only way we can transform our thinking and change ourselves. The end. So this new definition of forgiveness, and this is what Oprah's definition of forgiveness was, which really changed my life, and she said it. Forgiveness is letting go of the idea that the past should have been any different. And I thought that was obviously saying a whole lot, and definitely a lot in the fabric of my story. But it just changed the way I view things. And this is why models are so important. But it just changed the way I saw things. Is that, wow, if that's true forgiveness, it's just letting go that it should have been any different, then I can really fully embrace all that I am. I can forgive the people, I can forgive the circumstances, the events, all the things that were out of my control. I can just embrace it all and love to. I want this book to be a suggestion for you, but this is my suggestion, is that the sooner you start to understand that this everything that has occurred and happened, again, you may not know why. I think the part of being so open and vulnerable and hurt and confused and lost with it and not understanding clearly is the fact that you haven't embraced it yet. But once we embrace who we are, then we can go into research and discovery and openness and be vulnerable enough to say, hey, this happened to me, now I need help and support in trying to get to the next step. I think this is a huge, it's just necessary for you to approach it in this way, because it shifts the mindset. As long as I'm saying this is such a bad thing, this shouldn't have happened to me, then I'm still the victim. Because nobody's coming to save you. Whoever devil's advocate person, like, nobody's coming to save you. Just trust me, and nobody is capable or qualified. This is your story. It's your responsibility to take. You have to own it, and it may not be fair. But life isn't fair. I don't think life is fair. I don't think it's intended to be fair. And so I would say the sooner, because you don't know what's on the other side of it. I guess that's why one may say, how is this good that this happened for me? Well, it's good when you turn out to be the first black billionaire like Oprah Winfrey. when you can get to the other side of it and you can turn that adversity into an advantage, into something greater. And I'm not saying, that's got to be that's massive. But what if you embraced it enough to help your family live a better life, or you helped your child, or you helped someone else live a better life? And that's kind of where we get to in sharing your story and using it to inspire others. But you have no idea why this has come into your space, but it has. And so now you have to make it a part of the story. And at some place, it's going to fit perfectly. It's definitely a bad thing. There's no question it's a bad thing. There's no question that's a bad thing. Yeah, sexual abuse is a horrible thing. Murder is a horrible thing. Alcoholism and drug addiction, those are all very, very traumatic and bad things. And so I don't want to take anything away from that truth. That is a fact. But I also believe, again, in the law of polarity. If it's so bad, it can also be very good. That's just law. If that's really, really bad, it can also be very good. And your job is to figure out how it can be very good. And that may take time. That may take years. That may take, lots of work on your thinking and owning accepting it all and embracing these tips and strategies and tools to get to that place. But your job as the author of your story is to make it good.